Just took the top off of the Strawberry Mead. Again, this is supposed to be the 5-gallon. I don't think there's actually that much fluid in here, but I'll adjust it as it goes. So anyway, I just took the lid off here. It's been a week, so I'm going to go ahead and remove all the berries. From everything I've read, the seeds for strawberries can impart bad flavors. While I'm not getting all the seeds because some are on the outside of the bag, everything like that, I'm reducing them out. And if you look and see now, instead of the nice red color that it was, it's now kind of orangey pink. Last time when I did 1 gallon, it turned kind of gray, dirty water. So I'm just letting the bag drain. It'll take a minute here. And I'll go ahead and show you guys. I bottled all my 1 gallon meads. I got 16 bottles out of it, 4 of each. Again, they weren't actually 1 gallon. They were just kind of close. Should have gotten 5 bottles per gallon. This is not done fermenting. So I'll take a reading when I get done here and see where we're at, but I know it's still fermenting. Okay, so this came up to the 6-gallon mark, even with pulling these out. So I guess with the honey and everything else in there, it's more than I thought it was. This will be good enough. Okay, I'll show you guys what the strawberries look like here in a minute once I get them out of the bag. Just so you have some clue, because if you don't use a bag, this way you're not surprised by what they look like. Whew. Very strong alcohol smell. Ooh. Now these have been mashed. Here you go. The collaring has all come out pretty much. Very strong alcohol smell right on them. They don't really smell bad. They just smell like straight alcohol. So it's pretty strong. And as you see, it's not. But okay, so I just finished giving the bag a rinse. And all the strawberry mash here is trash. We've gotten everything out of it that we're going to. I'll add more in secondary. Matter of fact, I'll switch out berries like 3 or 4 times during secondary, but I'll show you everything. So we're going to take another reading here. Like I said, I already know this isn't done fermenting yet, but I want to see where we're at. It's not going to be too far from being done, but okay, this is day 7. I keep notes like this on all of them that I'm making. That way I can replicate it if I like what I'm doing. And this is reading of 1.009. So let's see, it started 1.102 and now it's 1.009. So it's getting there, but it's not there yet. The other strawberry mead that I made went down in under 1 when it was finished. So let's see. Now, I went down to 0.999. This should reach at least 1 to go dry. And because I didn't have near as high of a starting gravity, I imagine it will go dry. But like I said, I already know it's not finished fermenting. I'm still seeing movement in it. I'm not worried about the air bubbles coming out. That doesn't mean that much. But I can see movement in the mead, or in the must at this point. Or I'm not really sure since it's alcoholic. I'm not sure if you call it a mead or still must. I would think mead. Okay. Let's see. It's day 7, so I don't really need to. You don't want to stir it anymore or add any more oxygen into it. At this point, you want to deprive it of oxygen. It doesn't need any more for the yeast. The yeast is close to being done. And once you start getting a good amount of alcohol in there, you don't want to have oxygen exposed to it. You can make it go bad, turn it to vinegar. Now it takes bacteria to do that too, but still you can make it go bad, evidently by giving too much oxygen. So let's not do that. I figure it'll probably take 2 to 3 more days to finish fermenting. As you see, there are still bubbles escaping. But like I said, it doesn't really mean that much. My other meads that were sitting and aging had escaping gases here and there, but they definitely weren't fermenting. They had finished out dry, and then I stabilized them. So then I back sweetened, which I'll show everything of that as well. I'm guessing that we'll probably rack this maybe day 10. And racking is just siphoning it from this one. I have another one of these. So I'm going to siphon it from here to the other one and get rid of, let's see if you can see. I'll bring the camera in and see if you can see this line here. Basically, that is just dead or dormant yeast and all the solids. Okay, you see that? That is what I'm talking about. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's completely fine. It happens every single time I make it. It's a normal process. You just don't want to leave it on there. If you leave it on there, it will impart bad flavors later. But during fermentation, it doesn't matter. Just leave it alone. You do not want to rack it when it's still fermenting. While it's still fermenting, if you rack it, you could stall the fermentation, and that would mess up your entire batch. And a 5-gallon batch of mead is a nice little chunk of money to just pour down the drain. So the honey alone cost me $100. And while that's not really that big a deal when you break down by bottle, it'll be fairly cheap. And then, like I said, this orangey pink color here, we'll get that back to red. But that'll take a lot more strawberries. So let me show you guys. There's the mead from the top. You can't really see it doing much right now. That was just removing the berries, getting everything ready, checking the next gravity reading, and then I'll figure up the alcohol. Right now, I think it might be 12 or 13%, but I'll have to look at the calculator. I don't do it myself. There's an online calculator I plug it into. I'll put the link in the video once we're done fermenting. So the next video I make, I will check the final gravity, make sure that it's done fermenting, and then rack it. I'll talk about everything there, how to do it, show you guys, and then I'll post a link to the calculator. So, and like I said, I imagine this is day 7, so I imagine that in 3 to 4 days, it'll probably be done. But then you check the final gravity when you think it's done fermenting. Then you wait a week, check it again to be sure. So the next video won't be for 10 days or so. But that was just, like I said, that was just removing the berries, getting it ready. I didn't want them to sit any longer. As you saw from the bowl there, they're basically done. There's nothing. You might get a little more flavor from it, but it's pretty well gone now. Now that they're gray. And it went pretty quick because I mashed them instead of throwing them in whole. When I did it the first time and threw them in whole, it took a little bit longer, and I had to kind of move them around and that kind of thing. I also didn't use a bag, so I was constantly having to push them down all the time. I had to push them down twice a day, every day until fermentation or until I pulled them out, which was day 7, just like here. With the bag, you can put in like glass marbles, something like that, to weigh it down. But you don't want to use metal or anything that could cause a problem with your drink. Because remember, like metals, a lot of them have coatings on them of different kinds of chemicals, help prevent rust, whatever. Certain ones could be used, but you want to make sure of what you're doing. Glass marbles, you could sanitize them, put them in the bag, and then lower it down gently, and that would keep them under. I didn't do anything. I didn't have anything right now. I didn't think about it when I started this batch, so I didn't plan ahead. So every day I just came in, pushed the whole bag down, held it for about 30 seconds under liquid, and then let it back up, and everything's fine. The biggest thing, the only reason you want to keep it wet like that and keep it in the must is that way you don't have bacteria grow. Because up top here is where more oxygen is. As opposed, you're not have anything down here growing. It would always start at the top. The oxygen is up here. Bacteria needs the oxygen, and this is becoming alcohol. So the more alcohol it becomes, the less risk of infection you have. Like I said, I think this is around 12 to 13% right now. If so, I'm not really worried about any kind of bacterial infection now, because bacteria won't grow in that. So, but we'll have to wait and see. I'll figure it up once I'm sure of the final gravity there. Then I'll figure up the alcohol percentage and go from there. But so see you guys in like a week, 10 days.